I asked when the wedding is, and my daughter-in-law said, "We got married yesterday, so when is the wedding?" I asked with a smile, eager to celebrate the love I thought I knew, but her reply froze the air around me. "Old woman, don't embarrass yourself with stupid questions. The wedding already happened, without you." Her daughter-in-law smirked, her words cutting like knives, and standing right beside her, her own son, the boy she had carried, sacrificed for, and raised with tears, said nothing. His silence was agreement, his pride was betrayal. My heart stopped, the room spun. The woman I had welcomed as a daughter-in-law, the one I thought I still had time to embrace, had already taken vows in secret without me, without dignity, without truth. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from strangers, but from the very people you open your heart to. And sometimes a single sentence is enough to shatter an entire world. This is my story of humiliation, heartbreak, and the twist that no one saw coming. And today it is being retold by me. Hello family, welcome back. Before we begin, I have a small but heartfelt request. Please subscribe. Your support is what keeps these stories alive. Every time you click that button, you're helping us share voices that would otherwise be forgotten and stories that deserve to be heard. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from, because together we are not just telling stories, we are keeping hope alive. I woke up early that morning with a strange lightness in my heart. 60 years old, with silver in my hair and lines across my face, yet I felt like a young mother again, full of hope. I pulled out my best dress, a simple blue cotton one that had faded from years of washing, but still neat. I brushed my hair, tied it into a bun, and pressed a little powder onto my face. I told myself in the mirror, I must look presentable. I can't embarrass Daniel. As I walked down the street, I hummed softly, a hymn I'd carried in my heart since Daniel was a boy. Everyone in the neighborhood knew he was about to marry Vanessa, the beautiful girl from the wealthy family in town. People gossiped about her expensive clothes, her fancy car, and her proud walk. But to me, she was simply the woman my son loved. That was enough. When I reached her family's house, there was already a crowd. Relatives, neighbors, friends, all laughing, chatting, waiting for news. My heart fluttered with joy. I thought, this must be it. Today they'll announce the wedding date. I stepped inside, smiling. "Good morning," I said warmly. Vanessa turned toward me, her lips curved into a smile, but her eyes were cold. "Oh, you came?" I nodded eagerly. "Of course. I wouldn't miss it. So when is the wedding?" The yard fell silent. Conversations stopped. Every eye turned on me. My cheeks burned, but I forced a smile. Vanessa tilted her head, gripping Daniel's hand. She smirked and said, loud enough for all to hear, "Old woman, don't embarrass yourself with stupid questions. The wedding already happened, without you." I felt my heart stop. Her words struck like knives. For a moment I thought I misheard. I laughed nervously. "Vanessa, what do you mean? That's not funny." Daniel cleared his throat. His face was like stone. "It's true, Mother. We married yesterday." The ground seemed to vanish beneath me. My knees went weak, and I had to grab the back of a chair to steady myself. "Yesterday? Married? But why? Why without me?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. Women whispered behind their hands. Some shook their heads, others smirked. I searched my son's face, desperate. "Daniel, tell me this isn't true. Tell me I was supposed to be there." His eyes were cold. "Vanessa's family wanted dignity, Mother. You would have embarrassed us." His words cut deeper than any wound I'd ever known. My mouth opened, but my voice was barely a whisper. "Embarrass you? Me? Your own mother?" Daniel shifted, but didn't bow his head. "It was better this way." Vanessa squeezed his arm. "Yes, Mary, you should understand. Weddings are about appearances. My parents didn't want distractions." Her voice was sweet, but her eyes mocked me. The crowd caught her meaning. "Did you hear that?" someone whispered. "They didn't even invite her. What kind of son does that?" Well, maybe she wasn't fit to attend. Each word stabbed deeper. I stepped closer to Daniel, my hands trembling. "After everything I gave, after all the years I worked, the nights I went hungry so you could eat." "Mother, stop!" Daniel snapped, his voice sharp. "You're making a scene. Don't disgrace me in front of Vanessa's family." I froze. The world tilted around me. Tears blurred my vision. Vanessa leaned close, her whisper slicing through me. "You don't belong here. Go back to your little house and stay there." Laughter rippled from a corner of the yard. A woman chuckled. "Imagine being left out of your own son's wedding," another murmured. "Poor thing, but maybe she deserved it." My legs felt like stone as I turned and walked away. Past the yard, past the gate, past the neighbours who stared, some with pity, some with ridicule. In the street, voices followed me like shadows. Did you hear? Mary wasn't invited. They married without her. Her son has moved up. She's just a burden now. I quickened my steps, but the words clung to me. By the time I reached my little house, my whole body was shaking. Inside, the silence felt heavier than the whispers outside. On the table sat a framed photo of Daniel as a boy, smiling with his missing tooth, clutching the kite we had built together. I picked it up, tears dripping onto the glass. My boy, I whispered, what did I do to deserve this? I sat down hard on the chair, clutching the photo to my chest. Memories flooded my mind. The years of cleaning other people's houses to pay his school fees, the nights I went without food so he could eat, the day I sold my wedding ring to cover his college tuition. And now, this. By evening, the whole village knew. Children laughed outside, women shook their heads, men muttered as I passed their minds. She raised him, and he threw her away. Even dogs are more loyal. She's the mother unworthy of her son's wedding. I sat alone in the dark, rocking back and forth with the photo in my arms. My sobs were the only sound in the house. I gave you everything, Daniel, I whispered. I gave you everything. That night stretched longer than any night I had ever known, and deep inside, I knew the boy I raised was gone. In his place stood a stranger who no longer called me mother, and my suffering had only just begun. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Through our stories, we build hope and give a future to children and women who have been abused all over the world. Motivate us by subscribing and turning on your notification bell so you never miss a story that matters. Also, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from and how did this story speak to you? After that day, when they told me the wedding had already happened, I thought maybe things would settle. Maybe if I humbled myself, if I swallowed the humiliation, I could still be part of my son's new life. I told myself, Mary, you have to endure this. He's your only son. Don't lose him completely. But what awaited me was worse than I could have imagined. From the very first gathering at Vanessa's parents' house, the mockery was open. Mary, bring the plates, Vanessa called across the room, her voice sharp, as though I were one of the hired hands. Guests turned to look at me, some chuckling under their breath. I froze for a moment, hoping maybe she wasn't speaking to me. But when her eyes locked onto mine, I forced myself to obey. I carried dishes back and forth, my hands trembling. My old dress clung to me in the heat of the kitchen, and sweat ran down my back. Careful, don't spill, Vanessa barked, smirking at her friends. Some people aren't used to serving fine meals. Laughter followed her words. I wanted to disappear. Once, during another dinner, I sat down quietly at the edge of the table. Vanessa's mother looked me up and down with disdain. Shouldn't she sit somewhere else? She doesn't know which fork is for what. Her voice wasn't hushed. She wanted me to hear. Daniel shifted uncomfortably beside her, but he said nothing. Nothing. My son, my own flesh, let me be insulted like I was nothing more than dirt on their shoes. At another gathering, I wore my best shawl, a faded gift from my late husband. Vanessa's sharp eyes caught it immediately. Mary, she said sweetly, her lips curling, that shawl looks vintage. Her friends giggled. Yes, vintage as in ancient. Don't worry, we'll get you something decent one day. The shame was unbearable. I kept quiet. I smiled faintly, even when my heart was breaking. But when I went home that night, I pulled out the old wooden box where I kept Daniel's childhood photos. I sat on the floor, flipping through each one. Him in his school uniform, him clutching the little kite we made, him holding my hand at the village fair. Tears blurred the pictures. Where did my boy go? I whispered to the empty room. Where is the child who used to kiss my cheek and say, Mama, I'll never leave you? The silence of my house gave me no answers. Only my own sobs filled the air. The betrayal grew deeper. One afternoon, I discovered that Daniel had sold a piece of land my late husband had left for us, land we had worked hard to protect. When I confronted him, my voice shaking, he shrugged. I needed the money, Mother. Vanessa wanted to renovate the house. I clutched my chest. But that land was your father's legacy. You should have asked me. Daniel's eyes hardened. You wouldn't understand. Stop acting like you're still in charge. I felt my knees weaken. The land that represented my husband's blood and sweat, gone, sold without a thought. And all for Vanessa's lifestyle, her designer clothes, her trips, her new furniture. I became invisible in the community I once built with my hands. Women who used to greet me with respect now whispered when I passed. Men shook their heads. "Poor Mary," they said, "her son has no shame." Even children laughed, repeating the whispers of their parents. That's the mother who wasn't wanted. The respect I had earned over a lifetime vanished like smoke. Daniel, meanwhile, changed before my eyes. He no longer spoke with the warmth he once had. He had adopted Vanessa's arrogance. When I tried to talk to him about the way she treated me, he laughed coldly. "You're old-fashioned, Mother. You don't understand how the world works. You sound jealous." "Jealous?" I gasped. "Of her?" "Yes," he said firmly. "You can't stand that another woman has taken your place." Those words pierced me. I was no longer his mother in his eyes. I was an obstacle. But even as my heart bled, my eyes began to see things more clearly. I noticed Vanessa sneaking out at odd hours, dressed in her finest clothes. Sometimes she whispered in the corner of the house, her voice soft but hurried. One night, I couldn't sleep. I stepped into the hallway and heard her on the phone. Her words froze me in place. "He's just a fool, Richard. You know who I really want." Richard, a name I had never heard before. My hands shook as I pressed against the wall, listening. She laughed softly. "Don't worry. Soon everything will be ours. His inheritance, the land, the money. He's too blind to see. Then we'll leave him with nothing." I stumbled back, my breath caught in my throat. She didn't love my son. She never did. She wanted his inheritance, the legacy of my late husband. In that moment, my heart broke again. Not for myself, but for Daniel. My foolish boy, blinded by love, was walking straight into a trap. I wanted to rush to him, to tell him everything. But when I thought of the way he looked at me, the way he dismissed me, accused me of jealousy, I froze. He wouldn't believe me. He would only mock me again, defend Vanessa, and call me bitter. So I kept quiet. I bore the weight of the truth alone. But inside me, fear and sorrow grew. I had lost my son's love, my community's respect, and now even my husband's legacy was slipping into the hands of a woman who had no intention of staying. And still, Daniel could not see it. That night, as I lay awake on my thin mattress, I whispered to the darkness, "Lord, give me strength. My boy has betrayed me, but I cannot watch him be destroyed." My tears soaked the pillow until morning came, and deep inside I knew this story was far from over. The storm had only begun. I should have known better than to attend that dinner. Every time I stepped into Vanessa's family's home, I left with my dignity scraped raw. But Daniel begged me that morning. "Mother, just behave tonight," he said, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "Don't embarrass me. Vanessa's parents are inviting important people." I nodded slowly. Behave. That was always the word now. Behave, be quiet, keep small. I pressed my lips together and said nothing. The house was glowing with wealth that evening. Chandeliers, fine china, the smell of roasted meats and wine filled the air. I wore my best dress, though it looked like rags beside the glittering gowns of Vanessa's friends. As I walked in, I heard the murmurs. "That's the mother? She looks so plain. Vanessa deserves better in-laws." I forced myself not to hear. I told myself I came for my son. I will endure anything for him. But then Vanessa's voice rang out, sharp and clear. "Mary, bring the wine!" Every guest turned to me. My cheeks burned. I glanced at Daniel, hoping he would protest, remind her that I was not a servant. But he only smiled, his chest puffed with pride, as though my humiliation lifted him higher. My hands trembled as I carried the heavy bottles. "Pour for our guests, Mother," Vanessa said sweetly, stressing the word mother until the table erupted with laughter. I felt my throat tighten, but I obeyed. I poured glass after glass, my eyes blurring with tears I dared not let fall. One man chuckled, "What a good maid she makes." Another whispered loudly, "So unrefined." When I finally set the bottle down, Vanessa leaned back, smirking. "See, everyone? She may be simple, but she tries." And Daniel, my son, my boy who once promised to take care of me, beamed with pride, soaking in the approval of his new family. That moment broke me. When I returned home that night, the silence of my house was suffocating. I stood in the middle of the room, staring at the wooden box I had kept hidden for years. Inside was my small savings, coins and bills gathered from scrubbing floors, washing clothes, and doing the work no one else wanted to do. It wasn't much, but it was mine. It was supposed to be for emergencies, maybe even for Daniel someday. I pulled it out and stared at it. Then rage, unlike anything I'd ever known, surged inside me. I struck a match and lit the edge of the old bills. The flames licked higher and higher until the whole box was a fire of wasted sacrifice. I screamed into the empty house, clutching my chest, the flames dancing in my eyes. For what, Lord? For what? I starved, I broke my back, I sold my ring. I gave everything for this boy, and this is how he repays me? My screams turned into sobs until my voice was gone. I fell to the floor, my body shaking with grief. Later that night, I heard Daniel at the door. He reeked of alcohol. He staggered inside, his face glowing with arrogance. "Mother," he slurred, "why can't you just stop clinging to me? I have a new family now, a real family. Don't embarrass me anymore." I stared at him in shock. His words rang in my ears like thunder. A new family, a real family. So what was I? Nothing? A ghost? As he stumbled to his bed, I whispered to myself, I raised a son and buried a stranger. The days that followed crushed me. My body grew weak, my appetite disappeared. I lay in bed for hours, listening to the emptiness of my home. Once, this house had been filled with Daniel's laughter, with the patter of his little feet, with his soft voice calling, "Mama, I'm hungry." Now it was silent, cold. Neighbours stopped knocking. Even those who once respected me avoided my eyes in the street. To them, I was a cautionary tale, a woman who gave everything and was left with nothing. But one evening, fate dragged me back into the storm. I had stepped out to buy bread when I saw Vanessa slipping into a taxi. She was dressed too finely for an errand, her eyes darting nervously. Something in me stirred. I followed. The taxi stopped outside a hotel at the edge of town. My heart pounded as I trailed behind her. My steps soft, my breath shallow. Through the glass doors, I saw her. She wasn't alone. There he was, a tall man in a sleek suit, his arm wrapping around her waist with familiarity. She smiled, leaned close and kissed him. My knees nearly gave way. I crept closer to the window, praying no one would see me, and then I heard her laugh, clear as day. "Richard, you know you're the one I want. Daniel is just a fool. Let him enjoy his pride while it lasts. Soon everything he owns will be ours." My blood ran cold. Richard, the name I had overheard before. Now I saw his face. Now I knew the truth. With shaking hands, I pulled out the old phone Daniel had once given me. My fingers trembled as I pressed record. Every word, every poisonous laugh, every kiss, I captured it. Proof. My tears blurred the screen, but I didn't stop. This was my chance to save my son, even if he hated me for it. When I returned home, I sat for hours clutching the phone, rehearsing what I would say. Finally, I called Daniel. "Come quickly," I said. "It's about Vanessa." He arrived, his face tense with annoyance. "What now?" "Mother," my voice cracked as I held out the phone. "Listen, just listen. She's lying to you. She doesn't love you. She wants your inheritance. She's with another man." But before I could finish, Daniel's eyes flared with fury. He slapped the phone from my hand. "Enough! Stop poisoning me against my wife," he shouted. "You're jealous. You always have been. You can't stand to see me happy. You're pathetic." "Daniel, please," I begged, reaching for him. "Get out of my life!" His voice was like fire. "You're dead to me. Do you hear me? Dead." The words struck harder than any blow. My chest heaved, my legs buckled. I wanted to scream, to shake him, to show him the truth, but I saw the hatred in his eyes and I knew it was useless. As he stormed out, slamming the door behind him, I sank to the floor, my body trembling. For the first time in my life, I stopped praying for him. I stopped hoping, because in that moment I realized something bitter but freeing. He had chosen his path, and I, broken as I was, would have to choose mine. For years I had lived for him, sacrificed for him, protected him, but no more. I sat in the silence, my hands curled into fists and whispered, "If my son wants me dead, then let me live for myself instead." That night, through tears and grief, I felt a strange strength stir inside me. The breaking point had come. And on the other side of it, something was waiting. It was not me who exposed Vanessa. It was life itself. I had already stopped watching her every move. I had already stopped warning Daniel. My heart was too tired, my soul too weary. But truth has a way of catching up with liars, and Vanessa's mask eventually slipped without my help. Daniel told me later what happened, though I pieced together much from the whispers in town. He had gone looking for Vanessa one evening, angry because she had been avoiding him. He searched her favourite places until he saw her car parked outside the same hotel I once followed her to. He went inside, and there, in the full view of the lobby, he saw her laughing in the arms of Richard. Not just laughing. kissing, whispering, holding him as though Daniel never existed. Daniel froze, but she saw him, and instead of shame, she smirked. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. He stammered, "Vanessa, who is this?" Richard chuckled. The fool himself, and Vanessa, my clever, cruel daughter-in-law, delivered the final knife to his chest. "You really thought I loved you? I married you for money, for the inheritance your father left. You're weak, Daniel, weak just like your mother." Those words spread quickly. By morning, everyone in town knew. The proud son who once mocked his mother was now mocked himself. His wife had played him for a fool, and he had no one left to blame but himself. I didn't see Daniel until 2 days later. By then, I had already begun my own quiet resurrection. You see, after he told me I was dead to him, something inside me broke, but in breaking, something else was born. For weeks, I sat in my empty house, crying until no tears were left. And then one morning, I woke with an idea. Cooking. It had always been my comfort. My husband once said I could make a feast from scraps. Neighbours used to praise my stews, my bread, my roasted meats. I thought, if no one wants me as a mother anymore, perhaps they'll want me as a cook. I took the last cast coins I had left and bought flour, oil and beans. That day I set up a small stand outside my house. The smell of fresh bread and stew drifted into the street. People came, some out of curiosity, others out of hunger. And to my surprise, they returned the next day and the day after that. Within weeks, my little stand became a small business. I catered to birthdays, then weddings, then church gatherings. Neighbours who once mocked me now clapped me on the back, saying, Mary, your food is the best in town." Children ran to me, smiling, not laughing. Women who once pitied me now respected me. And me? I began to laugh again, to sing again, to feel alive again. So when Daniel finally appeared at my door, I was not the broken woman he had left. I was standing over a pot of stew, apron tied at my waist, my face shining with sweat and joy. Friends were helping me chop vegetables, and the sound of laughter filled the house. He froze in the doorway, his face pale, his eyes hollow. "Mother," he whispered. I looked up at him, my heart steady. For the first time in years, I felt no need to beg for his love. Daniel stepped into the room, his shoulders shaking. He looked smaller somehow, as if the pride had drained out of him. "Mother," he said again, his voice breaking. "Forgive me, I was blind. I didn't see. She betrayed me. She ruined me. I should have listened to you. Please, say something." The room fell silent. My friends glanced at me, then slipped quietly outside, leaving us alone. I wiped my hands on my apron and turned to face him. For a long moment, I just looked at him. My son, my boy, the same child who once clung to me when he was scared of thunder, the same boy I carried on my back when his legs were too tired to walk, but also the man who spat on my sacrifices, who told me I would embarrass him, who sold his father's land without asking, who told me I was dead to him. My voice was calm when I finally spoke. "Daniel, I forgave you long ago, not because you asked, not because you deserved it, but because my heart could not carry that poison forever." His eyes filled with tears. "Then you still love me?" "I will always love you," I said softly. "A mother's heart doesn't stop loving. But love doesn't mean waiting at the door anymore. My life is mine now. I no longer sit in this house hoping for your return." His face crumpled. "Please, Mother, give me another chance. I'll change. I'll be better. I raised my hand, gently stopping him. "No, Daniel, you chose your path, and I chose mine. Look around you. Do you see me broken? No, I found joy again. I found respect again, not because of you, but in spite of you." He sank to his knees, sobbing. "Don't say that. Don't leave me." I knelt beside him and touched his shoulder. "You left me long before I left you. You buried me when you said I was dead to you. And yet here I stand, alive, stronger than before." He pressed his forehead to the ground, but I gently lifted his face. "Daniel, regret is a hard teacher, but it is yours now. Mine is freedom." He left that night, crushed by his own choices, and though my heart ached, I did not cry. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Later, as I sat outside with my friends watching the sun dip low, I laughed, a deep, honest laugh. Not because I won, not because Daniel lost, but because I had found myself again. My hands smelled of flour, my clothes of smoke, my heart of hope, and for once that was enough. I realized then the lesson life had carved into me. A parent's love is deep, but dignity cannot be trampled. Betrayal may break the heart, but healing begins the day you rise for yourself, not for those who abandoned you. I lifted my head to the sky, the cool breeze kissing my cheeks, and whispered, "Thank you, Lord, for giving me back to me." And as laughter filled my yard again, I knew my story was no longer one of loss, but of beginning.